Okay, this is the geometry and construction circles review. Yep, everything's going. All right, so area and circumference. So the area of a circle is pi r squared, and the circumference is 2 pi r. So the radius here is 11, so for area, we're going to have pi times 11 squared. Okay, we're going to have to put that in the calculator, so um, maybe I should leave this up at the top. Okay, so we're going to do pi times 11 squared. 11 times 11 is 121, so it's 121 times pi. And they wanted us to round to 2 decimal places, so the area here is going to be 380, approximately. Right, it's approximately 380.13, and then our units would be centimeters squared. Circumference is 2 pi r, so that's 2 times pi times 11. So if we put that in the calculator, we'll get a rounded answer again, 22 pi. And we get 69.12 centimeters. All right, number 2. Okay, find the radius and the diameter. So the diameter should just be miles. Okay, so circumference is 62.8, so we're going to use the circumference formula, so that's c equals 2 pi r. So then we know the circumference is 62.8. All right, we can divide both sides by 2 pi. That's going to give us our radius. All right, so 62.8 divided by 2 pi. Put 2 pi in parentheses because don't want to multiply by pi. That's going to be 9.99. So 9.99. Right, and then the diameter is simply twice that. So if we put times 2 in our calculator, we get 19.99 for our diameter. So we get a radius of 9.99, and then the diameter is twice the radius, so 19.99. Okay, and we're good. All right, question, slide 3 here. So area is 201.1. Again, we want the radius and the diameter. So what we're going to do is use the area formula. So area is pi r squared. So that's 201.1 equals pi r squared. Here we're going to divide both sides by pi. So 201.1 divided by pi. 61.01. So I think let's just round that to 64. And then we take the square root of both sides and we get r equals 8. And if the radius is 8, the diameter is going to be 16. Top button there. All right, slide 4. The distance around the wheel of a truck is 9.42 feet. What is the diameter of the wheel? So the length around the wheel is the circumference. So we're going to use the circumference formula. So circumference is 9.42. That's the length around the wheel. Equals 2 pi r. And then we're simply going to divide both sides by 2 pi. Divide by 2 pi. Divide by 2 pi. So 9.42 divided by 2 pi in parentheses, and that gives us 1.5. That is the radius, so if we want the diameter, we need to multiply by 2, and we get a diameter of 2.998, which will be 3.00. So we get a diameter of 3 feet. Okay, slide 5 here. A lawn Sprinkler sprays water 5 feet in every direction as it rotates. What is the area of the sprinkler? So area formula is pi r squared. And the radius here is going to be 5. We have a sprinkler spraying 5 feet in every direction. That's coming from the center. So that's our radius. So our area is going to be pi times 25, or 5 squared. So 25 pi in the calculator. Going to give us 78.54. And that's feet squared. Approximately 78.54. All right, on to slide 6. So slide 6, we're looking for the measures of these arcs. So we need to look for semicircles when we're doing this. So remember, the full measure of an entire circle is 360 degrees. So the measure of a half circle is going to be 180 degrees. So here we have a half circle in red. Okay, we know the measure of arc TP is 35, and we know the measure of arc QR is 65, right? They're equal to the measure of the central angle. So 65, 65, 35, 35. Right, and we know the whole red arc has to add up to 180. So if we do 180 minus 35 minus 65, we're going to get 180 minus 100, which is 80. So we know the measure of arc TQ is 80. Okay, we can also look at this blue arc here is a half circle. So 35 TP plus PV is going to have to add up to 180. So we can do 180 minus 35. That's going to give us 145. Okay, and then this small arc over here is also going to be 35, right? Vertical arcs there. From there, we're just going to want to fill in whatever they are asking us for. So the first one is arc TQ. That one's just 80. All right, the next one is arc PV. So we start at P and go to V. That one's going to be 145. Okay, and then we have arc TR. So we're going to, it says just T and R, so that means we need to go the short way. It's a minor arc. It's less than half. So we go from T to R here. That's going to be 80 plus 65. That's going to be 145 as well. Okay. And then the last one is TVR. So we're going to start at T and go through V to R. So that's 180 plus 35 is going to be 215. Okay. All right, slide 7 here. So we're looking for the arc length. So our arc length formula is arc length equals x over 360 times 2 pi r. 2 pi r. Okay, so finding the measure of, or the length of arc AB. So we're solving for arc length. Our central angle is 120. So 120 over 360 times 2 times pi times 6. Okay, so arc length there is going to be 1/3, right? 120 out of 360, that's 12 out of 36. Right, just 1/3. Okay, then 2 times 6 is going to be 12. So times 12 pi. So 1/3 of 12 is 4. Right, 1/3 of 12 is going to be 4. So 4 pi centimeters is going to be the length of our arc. 4 pi. All right, the next question, we're going to use the arc length formula again. This time we're going to look for the radius of our circle. Right, so the arc length is 5 pi, so we can substitute in 5 pi. We know the measure of the central angle for arc EF is 30, so the measure of arc EF is also 30. So 30 over 360. And then times 2 times pi, and then r is what we're trying to solve for. So we can divide both sides by pi right away, cancel it off on both sides. Okay, they're gonna be left with 5 equals, then 30 times 2 is 60. So we have 60 over 360 times r. Well, 6 goes into 36 6 times, so 60 is going to go into 360 6 times. So 5 is going to equal 1/6 times r. And then we can multiply both sides by 6, and you get r equals 30 inches. Okay, so we get 30 inches. Right, and you don't have to reduce. You could multiply both sides by 360 here, and then divide both sides by 60. That would also work. Right, the next one here. We're going to use arc length again. And then this time we're going to solve for the measure of the central angle. Okay, so the length of the arc is 14 pi. We're looking for x, the measure of the central angle. Okay, times 2 times pi, and then the radius is 18. We can divide both sides by pi right away to get rid of it. Okay, I have x over 360. And then times 2 times 18 is 36. Okay, so we can reduce this then to 10, right? 36 goes into 360 10 times. So we have x over 10. And then we can multiply both sides by 10. And we get x equals 140 degrees, 140 degrees. Okay, again, in this step here, you can just simply multiply both sides by 360 and then divide both sides by 36 if you want. I like to reduce and work with smaller numbers. It's whatever your preference is. Right, 10, 11, and 12 are all sector area problems. So the formula for sector area is x over 360, right? The portion of the circle times the area of the whole circle, which is pi r squared. So practice 7 wants us to find the area of the sector. So we're solving for sector area. 90 degrees is the measure of our central angle. So 90 over 360 times pi, and then our radius is 16 squared. Okay, so that's going to be 1/4 times pi, and then 16 squared is 256. Okay, and when we do 256 divided by 4, that's going to go in, what is that, 64 times? So we're left with 64 pi. 1/4 of 256 is 64, so 64 pi. And that's going to be inches squared, right? Because it's area. Right? Area is a two-dimensional space, so it's got to be inches squared. All right, the next one is going to be to find the radius using the sector area. So here we have the area of the sector is 5 pi centimeters squared. We know the measure of our central angle is 72 degrees. Then times pi, and then what we're solving for is the r. Okay, we can divide both sides by pi. 72 over 360 is going to be 1/5. We can reduce that to 1/5. Again, if you want to just multiply both sides by 360 and then divide both sides by 72, that's fine. But I like to reduce. Okay, I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. That's going to give me 25 equals r squared. And then when you take the square root of both sides, you get 5 equals the radius. All right. The last one, slide 12, is going to be about finding the measure of the central angle. So in this case, they're giving us the sector area is 5 pi inches squared. The pi, trying to be a pi, equals x, which is what we're trying to solve for, over 360. Times pi, and then our radius here is 6. Right, so we can divide both sides by pi. We get 5 equals x over 360. And then 6 times 6 is 36. Again, we can reduce this to 10, right? 36 divided by 360 is 10. So we get 5 equals x over 10. And then we can multiply both sides by 10. And we get 50 degrees equals the measure of our central angle. Okay. And that is the circles review for Geo in construction.